So, as an only child of Jewish Russian immigrant parents, I always felt quite a bit of pressure to be successful because I would hear things like, the reason we came to this country is for you. Our only happiness is to see you successful and happy. So as a teenager, I felt a lot of pressure to, succeed. And how was I going to do that? I did this by studying like crazy while other kids were out having fun. And I worked a lot of really crazy jobs. And the only things they had in common is nobody wanted them. They were super low paying, like they paid nothing. And they were really crappy. In fact, that story that Amy told, like I could compete with my babysitting stories with hers. I'm not going to, but I could. So when one day I got an opportunity to translate for a Korean businessman who needed some Russian translation, I was thrilled. I thought, here comes my American dream. I am going to do this. I'm going to conquer the world. So he called me up to tell me about what's going to happen. And, he decided he was going to negotiate with me. And he said, okay, so we're going to pay you $200 for this job. Oh my God, $200? He could have said $1 million and it would have been kind of the same thing. I covered up the phone and I screamed. I was like, oh my God. And then I came back on the phone and I said, I guess that would be fine. So here comes the, Friday evening, the evening that I was supposed to do this. And I dressed up and I put my hair up in a French twist and I wore my best debate suit. Yes, I was that cool. I had a letter in high school for debate. And I was ready to face the world. And so up comes this black, shiny Mercedes to pick me up. And I get in and it's these black leather seats. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this is it. This is it. And in my mind, as I'm being taken to this destination, it looks in my mind something like a Kremlin, because dressed like this and in a car like that, that's of course where we would be heading. So imagine my surprise when we pull up to something that looks like a very seedy strip mall in Northern Virginia. And as Mr. Kim, the businessman, greets me at the door, I realize this is a karate studio, but something is a little strange because it's sort of a time of day where there should be a lot of students, but there's nobody around. And he takes me to the back through multiple curtains where it's getting darker and darker, and there's still nobody around. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. I'm a professional. I can handle this. So I get in and, it's this room in the very back that looks something like out of a 70s movie with kind of dim lights and wood panels and around. And there sits Mr. Ivanov, the Russian businessman, and his associates. And, we say hello. And, I sit down and I begin translating. And as they start chatting, they exchange gifts as is normal to both cultures. They talk about their families, and I am noticing myself doing super well. I am translating fluidly. Things are rolling off my tongue. I'm thinking to myself, yes, this is my future. And as I'm about to get super, super confident, the topic changes, and Mr. Kim says, so, Mr. Ivanov, I noticed that your wife is not accompanying you on this trip. So, how would you like us to set you up with a companion? And we have blondes, we have brunettes, we have redheads, or perhaps you might like someone a little bit more exotic. And then he proceeds to tell him about these very adult features that my 17-year-old virginal immigrant mind cannot comprehend. And I am horrified. I am shocked. I cannot believe I even know words in Russian and English for any of those body parts. And I am red and I am white, and I for the first time in my life, I know what it means to want the floor to open up and swallow you alive. I know what it means now. And but they don't seem to notice. And that tells me I'm a really good translator, because I've just kind of I just kind of blend into the wallpaper, right? Like they don't even know I'm there. They don't realize they have like this shocked 17-year-old who's horrified. So I'm relieved when the topic ends and they move on to the next topic. Unfortunately, the next topic happens to be illegal transfer of arms from Russia to various parts of the world, followed by some drug deals that once again, it's like a weird, like I'm like translating and I'm like, I can't believe I know these words. And also it's occurring to me, I think I might be working for the Russian mafia. And I don't know a lot about Russian mafia, except I have been watching these 90s movies about the Russian mafia to learn English. And I realized that they're not very merciful to people who they consider to be complications. And I'm feeling like I'm becoming a major complication. So as this progresses, like this whole entire dialogue as I'm translating is going on in my mind. First, I'm like starting to feel really sad. Like I've like spent 17 years working really hard and I'm missing out on all these things. I'm probably never going to go to parties and do things other normal kids do. I wondered, did I remember to tell my parents I loved them before I left? And also, it kind of struck me as ironic that my parents took me out of Russia to save me, and now I'm going to be killed by the Russian mafia. So the other thought that occurs to me as ironic is that the week before, our psychology teacher, Mr. Waters, had us write our own obituary, and mine... Yeah. And mine read, Supreme Court Justice Margarita Rozenfeld dies at the age of 90 on the beach in Hawaii in the arms of her 30-year-old boyfriend, Miguel. And it was very sad because I had been practicing my Spanish really hard. And it occurs to me that I was never going to meet Miguel. So as the night progresses, all these thoughts go through my mind, and then the evening ends, and Mr. Kim hands me this big fat envelope with $200, which of course now I have a lot less enthusiasm because what am I going to do with it when I'm dead? So I thank him, and I, just sort of like watching my back walk out of the curtains and the curtains and the curtains, and I get in the car, and I'm watching the driver like a hawk because I'm thinking like he must be the assassin, and I wonder if he has a silencer because in some of those movies they have silencers. And what, is he gonna like use my money as a really good tip for killing me? So I'm feeling pretty morbid at this point. And so, the night progresses, the ride progresses, and like I'm getting tenser and tenser and tenser to get closer. And then I open the door and it says, okay, have a good night. And to dispel the suspense, of course, I survived. I also did not become a Supreme Court justice. I became an executive coach. I did help pay for my college education, and I'm doing great. And to this day, I have not yet met Miguel, which I'm not losing hope for. And until then, I'm practicing my Spanish.